Hi, Doc Orman here, physician, author, stress coach, and founder of the Stress Mastery Academy. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar on the top 10 hidden causes of holiday stress. Now, these aspects of holiday stress are ones that I'm sure you're already very familiar with. But when it comes to understanding the causes of these stressful problems, here's where I think we don't have a solid understanding. And here's where I want to introduce you to some new and hopefully more helpful ways of thinking about the underlying causes of these problems. For starters, let me tell you that while it might appear right now that the causes of holiday stress come primarily from the very unique and different circumstances we experience during this time of year, this is really only part of the problem. There are many causes of holiday stress that are actually in play all year long, not just during the holiday season. After all, you can have other times during the year when your tasks and responsibilities are suddenly increased, or where you run into family conflicts, or where you encounter crowds or long lines in stores or traffic jams, etc. So these types of external circumstances are not simply limited to the months of November and December. Even more importantly, though, and this is mainly what the heart of this webinar is all about, is that the internal causes of our stress are exactly the same all year long as they are during the holiday season. There are no differences at all with regard to these internal causes. It's just that during the holiday season, we have many more opportunities for these types of causes to become triggered within us. But these are the very same identical internal causes that produce unwanted problems and stress for us all year long. So if you get really good at spotting these internal causes during the holiday season, you'll also be improving your ability to deal with them all year long. And conversely, the better you become at spotting the internal causes of your stress throughout the year, the easier it will be for you to spot them when they pop up during the holiday season. So the top 10 hidden causes of stress, which I'll be highlighting in just a few minutes for you, are not just prominent causes of stress during the holidays. They are also very common causes of stress for us all throughout the year, year in and year out. So the more you become aware of them, the better you will become at dealing with your stress, both now and in the future. So in this webinar, I'll be focusing on the internal, not the external causes of holiday stress. These internal causes consist of certain thought patterns and behavior patterns within us that can make any set of external circumstances either more or less stressful. I also like to refer to these causes as hidden causes as opposed to obvious causes, since the obvious causes are mostly external to us and they are also easily identified by just about everyone. But the internal causes of our stress, even though they are just as real and just as contributory, are not often seen very easily unless you know what they are and unless you know how to detect them when they become activated within you. So here we go with the top 10 hidden causes of holiday stress that I think you should be aware of. But before we dig in, I have one more point to share with you. There's a very common mistake people make whenever they hear someone like me or other people talk about the internal causes of human stress. This mistake is listening to such advice from an either-or mindset. You see, many people assume that when someone tries to inform them about the internal causes of their stress as opposed to the external causes, that it has to be one way or the other. That either the external situations and events are the main causes of our stress or we are. Either external factors are to blame or we are to blame for causing our own stress. Let me tell you, I've spoken to enough people from all walks of life during the past 30 years to know that this is a very common pattern of listening and thinking. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to fall into this very common trap. The real truth about stress for all human beings is that it's almost always caused by a combination of both internal and external causes. In other words, this whole business of internal versus external causes is not really an either-or thing. You've always got to take both types of causes into consideration if you want to accurately understand where your stress is truly coming from. Otherwise, it's like trying to solve a complex picture puzzle when half the puzzle pieces are missing from the box. In other words, if all you do is focus on just the external causes, which is what most people do, you're missing half the puzzle pieces you need to complete the full picture. On the other hand, if all you do is focus on just the internal causes, as if these were exclusively to blame for your stress, you're also missing half the puzzle pieces. Because external causes clearly do exist, and they clearly can be stressful in and of themselves. So please don't make this very common mistake as you're listening to me focus on the internal causes of stress which you might encounter during the holidays. I'm only focusing exclusively on this group of causes because they're the ones that are usually most neglected and only rarely talked about. Everything in our society is structured to make you think that only external causes are relevant when you're experiencing stress of any kind. And as I've already pointed out, this is only half the story. So here we go. Top 10 hidden cause number 1 is expectations. Now, we all have internal expectations every day of our lives. We have expectations about everything. We have expectations about ourselves, how we should behave, what we should do. We have expectations about other people. We have expectations about how the world should work, how things should happen, how things should not happen. We have all kinds of expectations. However, during the holiday season, our expectations are often driven to extreme heights, and some of these can be very unrealistic. First, there are all the social and societal expectations that are prevalent during this special time of year. Everyone is expected to be happy, joyous, kind, considerate, and to be in a celebratory mood during the holiday season. But we all know this is not always the case. There may be times or years where we don't feel much like celebrating during the holidays, and this is actually okay. It's just that all the social expectations that are hyped up by the media and by most other people around us can make us sometimes feel weak or embarrassed or somehow deficient or otherwise abnormal when this is not really the case. Then there are also all the personal expectations we have inside ourselves. These include our own personal expectations of how the holidays should be celebrated, how our family members or other people should behave during the holidays, even to the point of what types of gifts are acceptable and which are considered inappropriate. These social and personal expectations are really the number one hidden cause of stress during the holidays. And we'll come back to this cause over and over again because it occupies 2 other of our top 10 spots in our list, as well as contributing to several of the others. The second top 10 hidden cause of holiday stress is added responsibilities. We've already talked about how increased tasks and added responsibilities during the holidays can be a powerful external cause of our stress. However, there are also internal causes that can account for us ending up overburdened or exhausted or resentful during this very busy time of the year. So how might we contribute, either consciously or unconsciously, to having more tasks and responsibilities than we really need to have? Well, one way is to personally volunteer for many more activities and much more work than you can comfortably handle, along with all of your other daily life responsibilities. Another key internal cause is being reluctant to say no when other people make requests or demands of you during this time of year. Sometimes you just have to say no when certain people ask you to do things during the holiday season. But if you feel reluctant or uncomfortable about turning anyone down, you might end up overburdened as a consequence. Similarly, if you've got a lot to do during the holidays and you have others around you who are not overextended and who could reasonably help you out, it's perfectly fine to share some of your workload by asking them to take on certain tasks. Of course, if you're the type of person who loves to do everything yourself, or if you feel squeamish or uncomfortable about asking others to pitch in and do their share, well, these are 2 additional internal causes that can sometimes result in you ending up being more overburdened than you need to be. Here's another really big cause of stress during the holidays, as well as all throughout the year. Again, the holidays are a time when our sheer number of social interactions are increased dramatically, and where our expectations about how others should and shouldn't behave are also heightened. As a result of these 2 factors, we can be tempted to want to step in and change or control how other people are thinking, feeling, or behaving during the holidays. Now, I don't know what your personal track record has been, but I have seriously tried to change people during my lifetime. And you know what? It rarely works out. Instead, what it usually leads to is lots of hurt feelings, anger, and resentments. It also leads to me feeling frustrated and feeling like I may have failed at something that I should have been able to accomplish. Well, changing and controlling other people is not an easy thing to do, and it's actually something I recommend you not take on if at all possible. Unfortunately, this is a very common impulse that arises automatically within us like a knee-jerk reflex, and we sometimes find it hard to avoid. But I've found over the years that it's far better to let other people be the way they are during the holidays, within reason, unless they are truly engaged in behaviors that could be harmful to themselves or others. But if it's just a matter of us asserting our personal preferences over someone else's, now I'll walk away from this temptation every time I notice that I'm feeling compelled to act upon it.